They promised us that there would be a solution, that things would be resolved, but the problem only got worse over time. Instead of tackling the real causes, they opted for measures that only made the situation worse. Today, we are at a point where the consequences of these decisions are inevitable, and there is no longer any way to escape. I was warned not to talk about it. I was told it could be dangerous, but how can I not talk? We are on the brink of a catastrophe. The system, as we know it, is falling apart. There is a growing feeling that everything has gotten out of control, that the game has been taken too far. And the world as we know it may never be the same again. It is possible that we will face massive bankruptcy soon. Maybe there will be a new conference, something similar to the Loo Accord or the Smithsonian Accord, where they will try to rewrite the rules of the game. They may even declare that the US dollar is finished, and then we will see organizations like the IMF trying to salvage the situation, while nations like China and Japan seek to reposition themselves. But what about us? What will we do while all this happens? Those still holding dollars could be in serious danger. I remember a friend warning me that the world would change drastically. At the time, I couldn't fully understand it. But now it all makes sense. The threats are no longer veiled, are direct. We study and criticize vaccines, trying to understand their impact. Vaccines, although promoted as the solution, are also big business. Pharmaceutical companies cannot be sued for flaws in their vaccines. This makes everything even more dangerous. What really bothers me is how our rights are slowly being stripped away from us. Freedom of expression is threatened, as is the right to assemble. Social distancing and business closures violate our freedoms, and this concerns me deeply. The future of our cities is also at risk. New York, for example, is on the verge of bankruptcy. With so many businesses closing, commercial real estate is losing value. Who wants to pay exorbitant rents for empty buildings? Cities depend on taxes on these properties, and when those taxes dry up, we will see an even bigger crisis. This reminds me of another critical issue: pensions. I wrote a book called Who Stole My Pension? And I believe that pensions will be one of the biggest disasters to hit not just America, but the world. People have trusted these systems with their lives, but now they are discovering that they may not be as safe as they thought. I was told to stop talking about it, that it could be dangerous, but how can I stay silent? What is happening today is a smokescreen to hide a bigger crisis that is coming, the financial crisis. And who will suffer most? The millennial generation. They have been deeply affected by a system that trapped them in debt, a system that was designed to keep people in debt. The financial crisis we are seeing now did not come out of nowhere. It has deep roots dating back to 1971, when the United States abandoned the gold standard. Since then, we have lived in a world of fake money, where credit and debt have become the main tools of the economy. This is not taught in schools, but it is the reality in which we live. The global economy is falling apart, and it all started in 1971 when fake money began to circulate freely. Now, the only way to keep the economy going is to find people willing to take on debt, and that has a cost. Society is being manipulated by large corporations, and those who suffer are ordinary people. These big newspapers that used to be independent are now censored by their advertisers. If a newspaper like the Los Angeles Times or the New York Times publishes something that displeases its sponsors, they lose financial support. This has created an environment where the truth is distorted, and people do not have access to real information. We are witnessing the collapse of a system that has sustained itself for a long time through manipulations and lies. The truth is that many cities are on the brink of bankruptcy, small businesses are closing, and the middle class is being crushed. What about pensions? These are about to become the biggest crisis of all. What is most disturbing is that this crisis was predicted. We knew that the world would change, that things couldn't continue as they were, but nobody did anything. Now, we are facing the consequences. Inflation is here to stay, and this will only make things worse. What inflation does is make the rich even richer, while the poor get even poorer. And the middle class, which should be the backbone of the economy, is being destroyed. What will happen when people can no longer buy food or fuel? The revolt will be inevitable. With inflation out of control, the price of everything from food to oil is rising. And who is paying for it? The common people. While the rich get richer, people are struggling to survive. And it will only get worse. The government is cutting oil supplies, which causes prices to skyrocket. And who profits from this? The same ones who created this crisis. As the price of oil rises, the cost of food also rises because everything depends on oil. The cost of transporting food to supermarkets is rising, and that makes everything even more expensive. The world is in crisis, and people are suffering. But who is really benefiting from this? The same ones who created this situation, and the only way out is to take measures to protect yourself, such as investing in gold, silver, and Bitcoin. These are the assets that still maintain their value even in times of crisis. What we are witnessing now is the collapse of a system that has been maintained for far too long through manipulation and lies. What will come next? A new world order where the rules of the game will be rewritten. But for those who still believe in traditional money and investments, the future looks bleak. So how can we protect ourselves? Investing in real resources such as gold, silver, and oil is a way to protect yourself against inflation and economic collapse. But it takes more than that. You need to be prepared for what is to come. It is not a question of being pessimistic, but of being realistic. We are facing an unprecedented crisis, and the future is uncertain. But for those who are prepared, there are opportunities. The world is changing quickly, and you need to be careful not to be caught by surprise. Today, we are at a critical point. The decisions we make now will determine our future. The financial crisis is just the beginning. The real challenge will be surviving what's to come, but with preparation and wisdom, it is possible to not only survive, but thrive. What we are witnessing now is a defining moment in history. The rules of the game are changing, and those who don't adapt will be left behind. But for those who are prepared, there is a bright future ahead. We are entering a new world where real resources and preparation will be the key to success. Looking to the future, it is essential to understand that the changes we are experiencing are not temporary. They are signs of a profound and irreversible transformation in the world in which we live. Old rules and assumptions about the economy, politics, and even society are being questioned, and in many cases, falling apart. This is not just an economic crisis, it is a crisis of confidence, of leadership, and most fundamentally, of vision. In the past, people had faith in institutions like governments, central banks, and large corporations. They believed that these entities were somehow working for the common good. But that trust has been shaken, perhaps irreparably. Financial scandals, market manipulation, political corruption, and the perception that the rich are becoming richer at the expense of everyone else have contributed to a growing sense of cynicism and disillusionment. This crisis of trust is visible in all aspects of society. People are starting to question everything from the validity of formal education to the legitimacy of the news they consume. They're wondering whether it's worth taking the traditional path of going to school, getting a job, and working until retirement, or whether there's a better, safer, fairer way to live. This uncertainty is also changing the way people view money. Money, in its traditional form, is losing its value in the eyes of many. Uncontrolled inflation and unbridled printing of money by governments have eroded the purchasing power of currency. Consequently, more people are turning to alternative assets like cryptocurrencies, precious metals, and other tangible resources that cannot be easily manipulated or devalued. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, for example, have emerged as an attractive alternative because they offer a decentralized form of money, immune to central bank inflationary policies. However, even these emerging technologies have their limitations and risks. Like any new market, the world of cryptocurrencies is volatile and still developing, which means those who invest must be prepared to weather significant ups and downs. Likewise, gold and silver, which have historically been safe havens in times of crisis, are becoming increasingly popular among those looking to protect their wealth. These precious metals have the advantage of being widely recognized as a stable store of value, but they also present challenges, such as the need for secure storage and the difficulty of using them in everyday transactions. In addition to financial challenges, there is a growing realization that true wealth lies not just in money or tangible assets, but also in self-reliance and knowledge. People are starting to value practical skills more, such as the ability to grow their own food, generate their own energy, and build their own homes. This reflects a fundamental shift in mindset, from relying on centralized systems for survival to seeking ways to live more independently and sustainably. This quest for self-sufficiency is more than just a trend. It is a direct response to the realization that the systems we have always relied on are failing. Cities, with their reliance on complex and vulnerable infrastructure, are becoming less attractive to many. Instead, there is a growing movement toward rural areas, where people can live closer to nature and have more control over their lives and resources. However, this change is not easy. It demands a new type of education and preparation. People need to learn how to grow food, manage natural resources, and adapt to a world where things are not guaranteed. This is a mindset shift that takes time, but is essential to surviving and thriving in the new world that is emerging. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. Those who continue to blindly trust the old systems and methods will likely face great challenges. On the other hand, those who are willing to adapt, learn new skills, and think differently have a chance to not only survive, but thrive in this new world. Therefore, it is crucial that each of us start preparing now. We need to think critically about where we are investing our time, energy, and resources. We need to seek knowledge, not just in the traditional form of education, but in practical and applicable areas that can help us be more self-reliant. We need to be willing to question everything and build a new path that takes us beyond the current crisis. We are in a time of transition, and as with all great transitions in history, there will be those who fall and those who rise. What will determine which side each of us will be on will be our ability to see beyond appearances, to understand the underlying forces that are shaping the future, and to act decisively and courageously. The collapse of the current system is inevitable, but it also offers a unique opportunity to create something new, something better. Those who prepare, who are willing to learn and adapt, have the chance to not only survive the storm, but to emerge from it stronger and more capable than ever before. Ultimately, what is at stake here is not just financial survival, but survival as individuals and as a society. We need to rethink what really matters, what really sustains us, and how we can build a future that is fairer, more sustainable, and more resilient. This requires courage, vision, and determination. It requires us to come together and work together to create the kind of world we want to leave for future generations, A world where people are more important than money, where integrity is worth more than profit, and where everyone has the opportunity to prosper, not just the privileged few. We are on the verge of a new beginning. What we do with this opportunity is in our hands. For many, this new beginning will be fraught with challenges, and the uncertainty can be daunting. However, it is also a time that offers unprecedented freedom to reimagine our lives and society as a whole. When old systems collapse, the barriers that kept us from experimenting with new ideas and new ways of living begin to disappear. This means that now, more than ever, we have the opportunity to shape the world in our image and likeness, to build a society based on principles we truly believe in. The key to this transformation lies in the mindset we adopt. We need to develop a mindset of resilience and adaptability. Instead of holding on to what is falling apart, we must be brave enough to explore the unknown, to try new things, and if necessary, fail and learn from our mistakes. This type of mindset is what will allow us to not only survive, but thrive in times of change. Furthermore, it is crucial that we begin to build communities of support. In times of crisis, collective strength becomes one of the greatest advantages. Those who try to face challenges alone often find themselves overwhelmed. On the other hand, those who come together with others who share common values and goals are able to not only share resources, but also inspiration and courage. Caring communities can create safety nets and opportunities that would be impossible to achieve individually. These communities can form around a variety of interests and needs. They can be based on geographic location, with neighbors coming together to grow food, generate energy, or protect each other. They can be virtual communities where people with common interests and skills connect online to share knowledge, exchange services, or start collaborative projects. The important thing is that these communities are based on trust, mutual support, and a commitment to collective well-being. In this new world, education will also need to be reimagined. The way we educate our children and ourselves must change to reflect new realities. Instead of simply passing on static knowledge, we must teach the next generation to be creative, adaptive, and critical. They need to learn not just to memorize facts, but to solve problems, think systemically, and collaborate with others effectively. Education must focus on developing practical skills that will be essential to survive and thrive in an ever-changing world. Ultimately, what is at stake is more than just economics or politics. It is the very future of humanity. We are being challenged to rethink how we live, how we work, and how we relate to each other and the planet. This is an opportunity to create a society that is fairer, more equitable, and more in harmony with nature. To do this, we need to be bold, we need to be innovative, and above all, we need to be human. We can no longer afford to continue with the status quo. The era of complacency is over. Now, each of us has a choice to make. We can continue to follow the path that has led us here, a path that is clearly falling apart, or we can choose a new path, a path that leads us to a better future. This choice will not be easy, but it is the choice that will determine our destiny. Throughout history, the biggest transformations have occurred when people decided that they would no longer accept things as they were. They dreamed of something different, something better, and they had the courage to fight for it. We are now in a similar moment. We are at an inflection point where our actions, or lack thereof, will define the course of the future. Therefore, we must prepare for the challenges ahead, but also for the opportunities that these challenges will bring. We must be resilient, adaptable, and creative. We must work together, support each other, and build the communities and systems we need to thrive. And most of all, we must remember that at the end of the day, we are all part of the same humanity, all facing the same uncertain future. If we can maintain this perspective, if we can continue to believe in the possibility of a better world, then we will not only survive the storm, but we will emerge from it stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. This is the beginning of a new era, an era in which the old gives way to the new, in which old ways of thinking and living are replaced by something more aligned with who we really are and what we really want for the future. May this be a time of positive transformation, where we learn from the past, live in the present, and build a future of hope, prosperity, and peace.